Hi, my name is Tiffany Jones, and my research study was on ethnography. So ethnography is a qualitative research study that focuses on culture. You find a specific group that you want to learn more about, and you look at their values, their beliefs, behaviors, language, anything that makes them unique and different from society. So you don't only focus on that. You can focus on gender roles, social structure, uh, behaviors, powers, political views, like who is in power, why are they in power, and how does the rest of the society, I guess, follow them and follow in their footsteps. Um, Ethnography is a study that takes a lot of time. Um, a lot of people say that it takes years to do. Some might take a few weeks, some might take a few months. You are really diving into that culture. You're really diving into this community, really building relationships. You're building relationships with these people, so that takes time. So it is a very strenuous study that you can't take lightly. There's no specific instrument that you would use, I guess, for this study other than just giving 110% of yourself. So an ethnographer, that's a really hard word to say, um, they have to set aside all of their cultural beliefs, all of their values, what makes them them basically, to be 100% not biased in their study and to just be completely open minded with the people in the community that they're learning about. They focus on a group of people that have been together for years because when you're learning about someone's cultures and beliefs, that's something that they, for the most part, grew up with. That's something that they've learned at a young age up to where they are now. Um, it originates from anthropology and sociology. And I don't know, you want to go in as an investigator with no hypothesis. Like you need to, when I say a clear mind, I mean a clear mind because you never know what you're going to learn or expect. Now, yeah, you do your research and your background history on this culture, but when you're living it every day, you're going to learn so many new things, the ins and outs, um, which is why they say it takes up to a few years actually. And the best way to do that is, again, putting aside your own culture. You just want to learn as much details about them. So not only, language and behaviors, but you want to learn religious things, ceremony things, just how they go about with their everyday. So I guess that's definitely a pro because, I mean, it's one thing to read textbook, it's something else to live with this community. When you're an ethnographer, you are eating with them, you're living with them, you're, you know, adapting to their culture. So that's definitely a pro because you are getting firsthand of everything that this community does, has to offer, and you're learning why they do the things that they do. But a con would definitely be trying to make sure that you are not biased in any ways, that you don't go in with any preconceived anything about them. You have to go in again completely open minded. I read a study about this professor from Columbia. His name is Sudhir uh, Venkatit. Venkatich. I feel like I'm murdering his name, but he, for a few years, like over 5 years, he moved into the projects of Chicago and learned about one of the biggest gangs that there is, the Black Kings. And again, it took him years to learn this. He moved into the projects just so he could learn not only what it was like to be part of a gang, he befriended one of the gang leaders, but he also wanted to learn how the community adapted to gangs and how they raise their families and how they live their lives. So if you're going to do this study, you definitely have to make sure that not only is your time available, but your financial stability has to be okay because he had to drop everything and become a member of this gang. He had to drop everything and become, you know, a member within that community in the projects, Robert Taylor Holmes, he had to drop everything to fully understand the gangs, and I really appreciate that because it makes me value his opinion more. It makes me value his like thought process in the book he wrote. A day in the life of a gang. I think that's outstanding because I know I couldn't do it. But I guess you would have to ask yourself different questions, like, I mean, not only ask yourself, but ask the community too. What is this culture and what is it like to be, in this culture? So again, like I said, why do they eat the food that they eat? Why do they, discipline their children the way that they do? Or why is marriage like this? You have to decide what information you're gonna need. As far as like, is this a distinct culture? Like, is this a tribe or something? Or is this like a general culture? Am I picking like sophomores out of a high school? So you have to decide if I'm sorry, I keep coughing. You have to decide if what group you're going to do, if you're focusing on male, female, both. You also have to decide on your resources. So if you're going to do this study, do I have the money to do this study? Do I have the time? Am I going to need someone else? Is this going to cause a physical strain on me? Mentally, what all do I need? And then what all do I need to adapt to the community? You really want to focus on gaining their trust and engaging with the group. So because you can ask these personal questions, why do you do the things that you do? But in order to like get a full understanding, you have to build relationships with people. So building those relationships with this community, that takes time. Again, going back to that, you need available time, maybe years, to develop this relationship so that your research could be accurate, so that nobody's hiding anything. You're getting the full, the full details, the full stories, experience, examples of this community. And then you have to plan your field studies. So, like I said, Professor Sahir, he moved to Chicago. So he moved not only to Chicago, but the South Side, the project. So are you trying to do this study, overseas? Are you trying to do this down the street? So that's definitely a question that you'd have to ask yourself. But overall, you just have to really be dedicated to ethnography and just immerse yourself in it. It sounds extremely difficult in my opinion because I wouldn't know how to separate like myself from the study. I wouldn't know how to not be judgmental or have my own, ideas of what this culture is and what it takes. So it's definitely a great study. And I feel like I value the opinions more just from the people who do this because they live it every day. You hear the expression, you don't know what it's like unless you walked like a day in my shoes. Well, these people are doing it and they're doing it for years so they could get the full experience. So not an easy study, but definitely one that you would need.